Thanks to UB's Limited for another opportunity to share knowledge. We'll be looking at data analysis in the transport industry in our section. And to quickly consider some terms, we'll be looking at what is data, looking at data analysis, transport industry, and what have you. All right, what is data? From the write-up put together here, data simply means facts or figures, information, and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. Data analysis is the process of collecting, cleansing, transforming, modeling data with the goal of discovering useful information, informing conclusions to make right business decisions. We have data, but how do we make use of our data? And we have different types of data, dirty data, unstructured data, structured, and for you to be able to make your data to have a good analysis, you have to ensure that your data has been cleaned, is well structured, transformed, you have done the modeling, then you can begin your analysis. Because it's a good data plus good analysis that will give you good results. Then still on the topic, data analysis in transport industry. Let's look at the word transport industry. Transport industry means any industry, business, or establishment operated for the purpose of conveying persons or property. You need to move from one place to another, from point A to point B. It's with the aid of a vehicle. You need to carry things, items, goods from one manufacturing industry to the wholesaler or to the retailer, or from one business industry to a particular warehouse. Is by means of transport. You need something to help you move from one place to another. So that's the one of the basis where we have transport industry. So conveying persons or property from one place to another, whether by rail, highway, or road, air, shipping, water, and all operations and services in connection therewith. These are what transport industry, what they do. So including storing or warehousing of goods and property, repairing parts, so many things that you could think of. It's what transport industries, what they do. Okay, as we go on in our discussion, transport data analytics, because we are looking at data analysis in transport industry, transportation data analytics. What will you help with you? What's the essence of data analysis in transport industry? So I said transportation data analysis can provide complete end-to-end trip information. You are moving from a particular location to another. With that movement, you can look at the distance involved, the kilometers, the trip. Okay, you have left a particular location you are going, but because you need to branch one place, so you can begin to calculate how many trips have you done. Oh, okay, you have a driver who's on a schedule. You can calculate within the particular shift how many trips that driver has done. In a day, you can look at it. Oh, this driver, this particular vehicle, how many trips has it done? How many kilometers has it covered? So transportation data analysis will help an individual or an analyst or someone who is in charge of the data for his company, either as a fleet manager, a logistic executive, either as a data analyst in whatever form it may seems it comes, or a business intelligence analyst or business analyst, whatever the title may be that is related to this kind of information, you'll be able to generate end-to-end trip information that's trip from the origin and the destination, the route, the trip distance, like I mentioned, the travel time. You can look at the travel time. Then transportation data analysis will increase the power of mobility easier and faster, and it's able to collect information and understand critical information that is related in it. So what's transportation? Transportation is an essential part of human activity. That's literally just a movement from one location to another. It's one location to another. And I said that in many developing countries, just like ours in Nigeria, inadequate transport facilities are often the norm rather than the exception. Thus, a good transport system is essential to support economic growth and development. I added to say that since the attainment of independence in 1960, the problem of Nigerian transport system include bad roads, inadequate fleet of buses or trucks, as the case may be, irregular, inadequate, and overcrowded trains and airplanes, and congested ports. See, people want to go out, people want to travel, people want to move their goods from one else to another. These are things that we have seen that are likely to us. So these are common features of developing world. In line with these are physical problems such as the scarcity of suitably trained transport managers and planners. We need someone who is experienced, someone who is trained to be able to handle the data that you can get from any transport or fleet or logistic company. So you don't just need to put any other person there, someone that can help you make sense of your data as the case may apply. Capital restructuring, bottlenecks, serious issues of institutional reforms, and inefficient traffic regulation. So these are some of the challenges that we face these days, even in our transport world. The road network for most locations are bad, that you cannot connect freely from one point to another. Journey that's meant to take, let's say, 30 minutes due to the road network and some other challenges, bad road network. Another issues we have commonly here now is the traffic, that you cannot even tell at the end of the road that this is what has actually caused the traffic in some cases. So these are inefficient traffic regulation. So these are some of the things that has affected transportation network generally, that will not allow movement to go efficiently and smoothly as the situation arises. So I said the share of transport in gross domestic product, the GDP in Nigeria is just about 3%, just about 3%. So meaning that there is not much attention given to the transport industry. No much attention given to the transport. So, and it's a very key aspect that government need to look at, from the local government to the state government to federal to whatever situation it may be, even within our vicinity. So as we move on, in this quote, which was used by one of us, said the introduction of big data and smart technology has resulted in positive changes for transportation sector. Yes, with the aid of the technologies coming up, tracking method, and some other invention and innovation that's been deployed in transportation industry, technologies wise, it has helped to make some positive changes At least you can collate data without having to do it manually. You can collect data. There are so many technologies that have been deployed, which will help operational efficiency and flexibility. Says fuel consumption has reduced and customer experiences are drastically improved. So it has helped customer experiences. Fuel consumption, the reduction aspect might be talking about how you're able to efficiently manage the quantity of fuel that you buy, because the price of fuel, especially for organizations that use diesel in Nigeria now, has gone up. So that's that. So as we move on, transport statistics. So they are grouped into 4 basic categories. We have the road, the rail, water, and air. So I said transportation analysts evaluate an organization's transportation processes and system. So as an analyst, a fleet analyst, a logistic analyst, operation analyst, data analyst, whatever form of analyst that you find yourself in the transportation industry. So you are able to identify the process and the systems and the inefficiencies around it, so that you can help to make informed decisions on how this can be corrected and improved. Might not be totally educated, but it can be improved. So transition analysts, they evaluate organizations' transition processes and systems and identify inefficiencies and opportunities for improvement. So where there are inefficiencies, you are able to correct it. Where there are opportunities, you are able to make better use of it to be able to improve the system. As an analyst in transport industry, your data will help you to develop and implement processing, innovation, cost-effective solutions that allow for a more efficient and streamlined process. Transition analysts conduct logical studies and data analysis evaluation using the information that is available, data available, to recommend strategies and tactics. So what you do is you have large data, all you need to do is present the data in summary, analyze it, visualize it, and do a proposal to stakeholders. This will help to play an important role. It's what you present to stakeholders, they're able to look at in a very summary, probably in a dashboard, which will be looking at some sample. And from this dashboard or report that you have done either on Excel, are you able to do your analysis on Excel? You can able to use Excel to do your dashboard, or you use Power BI or whatever other forms of analysis. Probably you have access to using your SQL or Python to do analysis, then still visualize with either Power BI or Tableau. So from this, it presents a summary. Even if it's just a small data on Excel, you're able to use pivot table to do a summary of the data, present it to stakeholders to say, this is what this data, the summary of this data is telling us. Put some information there to say, this is, and these are the guidelines. These are where we have inefficiencies. These are where we have opportunities for improvement. So the stakeholders or the management are able to look at it and make intuitive decision from it. So it helps them to make business decision that will guide the trend of the business. So as transition analyst, you analyze historical data and trend using that information to guide future planning. Now I want to look at transportation metrics. Transportation metrics are tools for evaluating existing transportation processes of inventory that create the opportunities for pinpointing areas that could help improve logistical inefficiencies. There are always inefficiencies in our logistics transport, but we can always make use of technologies to help us improve on areas where we are inefficiencies. This data is used to evaluate potential carriers, assess internal problems with companies and own operation. Transportation metrics help companies by providing information on way to optimize their supply chain. we have supply chain, we have procurement, and so many other departments in transportation industry. So with the aid of technology, all these are able to work together to ensure that there's a smooth operation. The operation is efficient and everything is doing well. So I mentioned that metrics have been formed by the industry to be known as key performance indicator, KPIs. So for everyone in one sector or the other that will work, not necessarily the transport, we have our KPI. We have the indicator, the performance indicator at which mid-year and end of the year, our line managers, they are able to evaluate us on this. Okay, your KPI for the year, your goals, okay, mid-year review. Oh, in this KPI, what have you achieved? You said you wanted to do this, you wanted to do this, you wanted to do, how many have you been able to achieve? So this is used to do our performance measurement and say, okay, oh, in the mid-year, oh, you have done averagely well, maybe you have scored around 70 to 75% or and above, or even lesser. You are able to work towards getting a better performance before the end of the year. And at the end of the year, there's yearly review. So it's still a function of the KPI that have been set at the beginning of the year that is used to measure your performance. So key performance indicator as a basis for performance measurement. They vary from different types of transportation industry or organization to another. These variations make it difficult for business because they must choose the correct KPIs to measure and compare amongst one another in order to perform as its maximum protection. So as we move on, there's another quote here. Analyzing data helps transport companies enhance their business operation. It enables them to make better decisions based on comprehensive and current insight into relevant KPI. KPIs have been set, even at management level, KPIs have been set. This is the goal of the business at the beginning of the year, which is cascaded to every line manager to say, okay, drive this goal within your department, within your section, ensure this goal is being driven, which is now breaking down to each of the staff at the lower level to say, okay, this is the goal of the business. Whatever your goal is, you work towards achieving the goal of the business. So everyone is now running towards how you can ensure that, oh, we are able to achieve the business goal at the end of the day. So that's why data is very important for several sections we have, because in any section, not only related to data, to transport industry alone now, analyzing data helps every company to enhance their business operation, and it helps them to make better decisions. Leaders, managers, and they're able to come to a conclusion on the trend and pattern at which the business is performing from time to time when these results or analysis are being shared with them. Now, we want to quickly look at some commonly used transportation or logistic performance indicators. Number one, I mentioned on-time pickup. So these metrics, like I said, is a measure of your career performance, meaning, okay, the time at which you have gone to pick a particular good from one place to another. I say it's calculated by taking the number of pickups which were made on time. On-time pickup. Oh, you have set a time to say by so time you should be at so location to pick so goods. So now, what time did you get there? A time has been set. Okay, for those of us in the passenger industry, there's a time we need to be at our various locations to pick the passengers, the commuters from one location to another. There are people that are going to work at early hours. If you are meant to be at a particular station, let's say 5 a.m., and you're just getting there 7 a.m., that space of 2 hours, you have lost some set of people. You are not on time. But when you are there in time, you know people there by 5, you are there before 5 to be ready to pick them, you are on time. So the number of pickups which were made on time. So either in a week, in a month, or over the time, or in a day, you can look at it by a particular carrier and divide the number of shipment which the carrier oiled on your company behalf. The transportation cost is simple. That's the cost involved in the means of moving things from one place to another. I say these measures all costs related to each logistic operation developed by a company, from order placement to final delivery. okay, I need to move some goods from point A to point B. The cost of moving that goods from point A to point B, that's the order and the delivery. That's transportation cost. I say this KPI can be useful for forwarders, not forwarders alone. It's very useful in all aspects of our logistics and transport. But for forwarders to know the average time spent in each shipment and send accurate quotation to their customer. I talk about vehicle turnaround time. I say the average, this is the average time elapsed between a vehicle arriving at a particular destination and its departure. Now, vehicle turnaround can be used for both inbound and outbound. For those of us in the transport industry that will have to pick people, okay, you know that from point A to point B, you are meant to use 30 minutes to 30 minutes, but that's 1 hour. Okay, plus or minus, you give it 70 minutes. So now, the turnaround time, maybe at the end of this, end up spending 2-3 hours due to bottlenecks of traffic and other things. So we can be able to calculate turnaround time. The estimated time is 70 minutes. But this person has spent over 2 hours due to some. So that's the turnaround time. The time for which is meant to go from point A to B and return to point A. So this helps to monitor the efficiency of receiving and dispatching processes. Capacity utilization. This measures the utilization of the load capacity of a vehicle during road transport or a container during sea freight. So that's capacity utilization. You have many, okay, a particular boy is meant to carry 6 number of passengers. So how many is able to carry in each of the trip? Is it maximizing that opportunity? On-time delivery. This is the percentage of orders in a given period which were delivered to customer at a time you promised. On-time delivery. You know, we talk about on-time pickup now. The on-time delivery, are you able to deliver to time? So you are meant to pick something from location A to location B and deliver at so time. Are you there to time? So productivity. This measures the company's employees' production rate, that's the work hour or labor hour or productivity hour. So for the freight forwarders, so it's a better idea of the business performance. Productivity. So in every occasion or every business operation, productivity is key. So how do we now begin to ensure that, okay, everyone is actually doing its bit to ensure that there's productivity in whatever we do? So order accuracy, I say order accuracy measures the degree of incident from the placement of the order to the delivery of the order. Ideal for freight forwarders looking to identify pattern and continuously correct errors in order to make their transportation safer. So order accuracy. Then on time, in time, we call it OTIF, on time, in full, on time, in full, OTIF. This measures the percentage of orders delivered within the stipulated time without any problem or documentation issue. Okay, a delivery service is meant to deliver goods. So the percentage of orders that are delivered within that time without any issue. That's on time, in time. No issue, no documentation issue or any problem sort of. Everything is well delivered. The customer or client is satisfied with the delivery and every other thing. Lead time. Lead time tracks how long your company processes or operational lasts from the start to finish. That's lead time. So you are able to monitor the amount of time spent in each stage of a supply chain. You know, supply chain, there's connectivity. Procurement to supply to delivery, warehouse, and all those things. Stock rotation. Stock rotation measure average time between a company's outflow with the stock balance at the warehouse. Stock rotation, warehouse, you know, okay, at the time the warehouse will tell, oh, procurement, this and these are the things we will be needing. So the list has been given to procurement to actually, oh, go and ensure that these things are provided to warehouse so that by the time maintenance is needing them or other department that may need them, so they have it available. So the average time between a company's outflow and its in stock, the average, that's the stock rotation. So how available are the goods when needed, especially by logistics and other information department that may be related to it. Now, warehouse costing, warehouse costs. This monitor the expenses involved in the management of a logistic company's warehouse facilities. You have items in your warehouse, you have facilities in your warehouse. So the cost is what we are talking about here. So you begin to look at all the items and the cost of each of them. Now, number of shipments, this evaluates the average of cargoes handled by a company at a stipulated period of time. It could be weekly, it could be monthly or yearly. So it's essential that as transport analysts or whatever form of title it may be, logistic analyst, fleet analyst, warehouse analyst, in the transport industry at large, everyone that is in charge of one unit or the other that has data with them, we're looking forward to ensure that there's a constant financial balances. Oh, you are in charge of managing a particular finance relating to some item. So the financial analysis that you are doing to ensure that everything is going well and ensure that okay, profit margins between income and outcome, everything is balanced. Actually, is more applicable to maybe those of us in the finance or those even actually handling the warehouse or the supply chain team. So the finance, they ensure that profit margin between income and outcome, everything is there's flow. Oh, there's cash flow and all of that thing. Then truck turning, the average time spent between the exit for collect or delivery and the return of the vehicle. Okay, the time you are meant to pick up an item to deliver at a particular place. So the time between your point of collection and the point of delivery and return is the truck turning. Now I want to quickly look at some dashboards and reports that in the transport industry might be relevant to us as position or roles may apply. So I said the fleet performance dashboard. So as a fleet supervisor, a fleet officer, a fleet manager, a fleet data analyst in the transport and logistic industry, there are some KPIs that are relevant for us to present to the stakeholders from time to time. So we need to drive KPI ownership to the planning and dispatch level. Dashboard report that give you at a glance look at fleet performance. Oh, you are the fleet supervisor or a fleet manager. You need to have from time to time a dashboard report that people will look at that will speak to them as regards your role, as regards what information you want to send to them. So I mentioned some of them. People want to see the trend line in your fleet availability and utilization. Fleet availability and utilization. Oh, okay, oh, I'm supposed to make available as fleet 25 trucks. Okay, how many are you able to provide after repairs to make available to operation? How many is the operation able to use for their own purpose? So you begin to look at this. So what are the challenges if you are meant to provide 25 and 23 available, which is utilized by operation? So the two, what's the challenges, what's holding them back? So that we're able to keep track on how you can quickly resolve, make if there is need to make part available to fix them. So you begin to look at all of that. So from time to time, you are looking at it, you are reviewing it. Oh, today I'm having 95% fleet availability. Oh, tomorrow let me improve 98. If it drops again to 90, you are quickly able to look at where does the supply chain need to come in, where does finance need to do some approval for you to get the parts required. So now, then the kilometers traveled, you're able to look at planned actual from time to time. So with the aid of technology, most of these things have been simplified because you have a tracking device that does monitor the movement of your trucks, your vehicle, your buses from one point to another. So you can easily go to the back end, pull out data. Oh, so much of us meant to travel so kilometers today. Okay, through so round. But this is what he has done. You're able to look at the plan versus actual. Then driver overtime plan and actual. Some of these things. So we are looking at the time of on-time deliveries that we have talked about. The fuel efficiency. So you're able to look at, oh, bus A actually collected so liters of petrol or diesel, as the case may be today. Okay, when next is it coming? So we are looking at the time it collected, let's say 100 liters, and it's coming again at another time to collect. So you're able to look at how many distance has it been able to cover within that time that it collected 100 liters. You're able to look at the efficiency using the kilometers travel and the liters and say, oh, this vehicle, is it doing well? 0.6, 0.7, 0.5. There's the fuel efficiency now. Then if there's any way you need to come in, you are able to also look at it. Then driver shift utilization. Driver shift utilization. So for all your drivers, you are meant to have a schedule. You are meant to have a schedule. For those that work one day on, one day off, they need to know. For those that do shifts, they also need to also know driver shift utilization, so that I know I'm the one on morning shift for this week. So my partner is on PM shift, maybe in a week or 2 weeks time, depending on what's suitable for your company organization. We are swapping shift again. I'll be on PM, it will be on AM. Then for those that do 1 day on, 1 day off as well, we're also able to plan all of these things ahead. So I manage the driver's shift schedule on weekly basis. So by Saturday, latest Sunday afternoon, I'm able to publish the driver's schedule. So before Monday's operation, all drivers have seen, oh, this is the bus I'm using for this week. This is the shift I'm doing. This is the particular route I'm going to apply. So these things are already in plan, and drivers are able to follow. Now I want to look at some passenger transport dashboard reporting that we speak value to people who are reading it and be able to pick out some information from it. So like I mentioned earlier that there are tracking systems now. So I'm privy to the intelligent transport system device, the fleet IBU that I've been able to use before. So we are able to track. You have sent out your buses to a particular location. At the end of it, you're able to school report that shows this is the trend the driver is meant to go from point A to point B throughout the day. But this is the trend. You see the planned and the actual. Okay, the driver is meant to do 5 shifts. He has only stopped at 2 and he didn't work again throughout the day. So you can begin to now look at the fleet aspect of it. Call to fleet. Oh, this driver was supposed to do a full day, but he stopped duty at so time. Please, can we know what's wrong with it? Oh, they can tell you at so time he came in for fleet maintenance repairs, but is unable to go back. So these are some of the reports. So with deployment, with technology, you are able to look at, oh, okay, a particular location needed more buses for its operation to one particular location. So we are able to do a distribution to say, oh, I'm giving so 70% to a particular location, I'm giving 30% to a location, depending on the demand of people in that particular area. I can begin to tell you in some of these locations where we have passenger being picked up, places where you need to send 60% of your buses to, because of the population of people that you have there. Place you need to send 25%, 5%, 10%, 2%. So these are data that have been gathered over time, and it will even help you to be able to monitor it and look at so many other reports. There are some deviation reports. Oh, a driver is supposed to do a particular route, but you notice that he's doing another route. You're able to call the attention of the fleet supervisor to say, okay, why is so driver not doing the scheduled route? Why is he going another route? So if there are reasons behind it that are genuine, fine. But if not, you can flag it and driver is summoned. So these are some of the dispatcher and driver's reports that can be generated. Logistic executive reports, for executive or some of the managers. So they want to know, oh, per time, what's the cost per kilometer, what's the revenue per kilometer, what's the revenue per bus, what's the profitability, which route is doing well in terms of profitability. Okay, what's the fuel cost per service route? What is the fuel efficiency, trip? So these are some of the reports that are generated and sent to the executive report. So they're able to look at it. So if there's any route that is calling for attention, so they're able to quickly work on it. I said the executive report, the executive management can examine strategic trends, which include transportation cost as a percentage of the revenue shown over time. Oh, okay, this is the total gross revenue for this route, but this is the net revenue after you have removed probably the maintenance cost, the fuel cost, and some other operational costs. Okay, you're now looking at what is left at the end of the day, and you begin to look at it. Is this thing actually making any profit value? So these are some of it. So as we move on, so the freight transport, so we are looking at some safety related metrics. The Department of Transmission Reputable Safety Incident, Speeding Incident. Some of this technology will tell you the kilometers at which a particular vehicle is traveling. So if it's over speeding, it can alert you, whereby you can call the attention of the driver to say, at so time you were traveling on maybe 100 kilometers, and it's specified that you must not go beyond 70 or 80. That's over speeding. So you can book that driver for over speeding. So for most of these passenger and BRT buses, the maximum is 40 to 45 because they are heavy duty buses and that peak carrying life, so they don't need to go as far as going to 60, 70%. That's over speed. So we are able to track from back end any bus that has gone beyond the limit. A limit has been set. You inform the supervisor of the driver to say your driver on so particular bus was over speeding. You give the person the speed at which that driver was at that time, and such driver is cautioned where necessary. And if it's continuous, sanctions are meted out. So under the cost metric, the cost per kilometer, revenue, cost per trip, revenue per trip, and so many other things, fuel efficiency. Now in the air transport, there are some key KPI that's important in the air transport. Number one, departure punctuality. Departure punctuality. Now, what's departure punctuality talking about? This calculates the percentage of flights that depart on time at a planned origin airport concerning all operational flights. On time, departure punctuality. Oh, okay, our flight is supposed to take up 6:45. How many of these flights actually take up 6:45? Though in most cases, there's always a margin of plus or minus 15 minutes, depending on the airline or the location. So if you are still within plus or minus 15 minutes, so you still be assumed that such a flight is on time. So I say this reflects the most important KPI for all airlines. 100% of all airlines use this. So departure punctuality is a very key KPI for the air transport, because no airline wants to have the feedback or the review to say, oh, each time we come to board this flight, we are always late to take off from our origin. So when do we not get to, for someone that have a meeting at Abuja and maybe for 9, and it's supposed to take off maybe from Lagos, maybe 7:15 flight, and by 8 o'clock, such a person is still at the airport in Lagos due to the delay from such airline. So how will he meet with the meeting that he has in Abuja for 9 o'clock? Knowing fully well that it takes 50 to 55 minutes from Lagos to Abuja. So departure punctuality is the #1 KPI, and 100% of airlines use it. Then regularity compares KPI regularity. I say this reflects the percentage of operated flights versus planned flight. It tells you how many flights an airline cancels. So 90% of airline monitor and track delay reason KPI. It's one of the most basic and virtual. So for delay reason, it provides a more specific analysis of operational issues. So 82% of them use it. Then for delay, so most times we've had some airline that have had to shift or postpone the time. Okay, flight supposed to take off 8 p.m. You end up taking off 11 p.m., 12 p.m. There's always a delay due to one reason or the other. So these are under major KPI. And I say from research, 82% of airline monitors and track a delay reason KPI. Then seat load factor. So this is percent of check-in passenger in relation to an aircraft available seats. Okay, maybe an airline is supposed to take a certain number of passengers. How many was he able to carry? That's the seat load factor. How many was he able to carry? This KPI focuses on profitability performance, and 71% of the airline use this. So if it's meant to carry maybe 200 people on board, and at the end of the day, it's only having 100. So you can see that for that trip, it's not profitable for such an airline. It's not profitable for such an airline. The arrival productivity. For arrival productivity, this percentage of flights that arrive on time at the planned destination airport concerning all operated flights. I say it is worth to mention that there are 15 minutes time, plus or minus 15 minutes, in either to be early or to arrive late. So within that space of 15 minutes, can still be accounted that, oh, this arrival is productive, either 15 minutes prior or 15 minutes after the estimated time. So I said 67% of all airlines use this window, and applies in both directions, either ahead or behind schedule. Then misconnect quota. For the misconnect quota KPI, this is 6th one. It calculates the percentage of connecting passengers who miss their onward flight related to the complete number of connecting passengers. So I say 45% of airlines from research use this KPI. Now, how to use KPIs to improve profitability as we begin to round up. How to use KPIs to improve profitability, either in the transport industry or other form of industry. But since our focus is on data analysis in transport industry, how do we use KPI to improve profitability? One, to track general and company specific KPI. So every company has its specific KPI. So you're able to track it to say, oh, are we still on path? Are we doing well? What are the inefficiencies? Which area do we need to quickly make amend? And other things. Oh, which particular area is doing well that we're able to improve upon. Then connect shipment with both API and EDI connection technology. So there are technologies that have been deployed to help gather data from different sources that can be analyzed, that will speak to the business goals, the business objective. So, and I highlighted there to say API is an acronym that stands for Application Programming Interface. And EDI is an acronym that stands for Electronic Data Interface. So the application programming interface are generally cloud-based intermediaries that allows application with different designs and code to exchange data and information with each other. So data are being connected, are being passed with each other, and that data at the end of the day, okay, is being collated or pulled out and analyzed. Then the EDI, which is the electronic data interchange, is a protocol that allows two systems to connect with one another for the purpose of exchanging data electronically. So that's what the API and EDI in this number 2 meant. Then use dashboarding tools to connect all users with KPI. So you can build a dashboard that speaks to the key performance indicator in your particular industry that you want to measure, that you want the stakeholders or the management to see. Then make data-driven decisions. So you are also able to give some insights on the analysis that you have done. Then eliminate uncertainty by auditing system performance. So you do a audit and drill down to say, oh, okay, the fear is, oh, this route is making social amount, we are spending so much on fueling, spending so much on fleet maintenance. Okay, is it doing well? Is it not doing well? You are able to look at other factors. You are able to look at the bottom line to say, okay, it's still bringing in something. Fine, the fuel cost might be high, but we are still having at least some percentage of profitability in it. Then use audit to determine further if operational efficiency reflects expected gains. Okay, then provide employee feedback to all employees. So there's a feedback the stakeholder is meant to give based on the reporting, or even you as an analyst, you are giving them a feedback. So from this report that I've done, that is carried out, that I've analyzed, that is visualized, everyone can see this are my own insight. These are the things I think is speaking about. So how do we improve further on it? So EDI as it applies to transportation, I say EDI, which I already defined to be electronic data interchange, has become a requirement in the transportation industry as shippers, carriers, and brokers all aim to integrate and exchange information as fast as possible. With millions of transactions, EDI affords the ability to exchange the bill of ladings, shipping manifest, shipping statuses, invoices, and remittance. The major advantage of EDI is it reduces manual tasks, decreases cost, and eliminates human error because it's more of electronics, so error is reduced. You're be able to do some things electronically rather than using the manual that even have to cost more. So that's how it applies to the transit. So some simple KPI for some of us that may be in the logistic or transport aspect of the industry that we do with the passengers transport. So these are some of the simple KPIs that can help us. So on daily basis, you're able to look at the key parameter that speaks to the number of buses that you use on a particular service route. I see service route XYZ, then the number of passengers you carry, the kilometers traveled by all the buses, the revenue generated, the number of trips done, then the available seats. So the formula to that, which will help you to be able to calculate the seat load factor, so available seat in the vehicle at the end of the day. Then from there, you're now able to look at the passenger per bus. So number of passengers have been carried today, total number of bus were used, what's the passenger per bus. You're able to look at the passenger per kilometer per bus, kilometer per trip. These are some of the things I mentioned earlier during the presentation. So these are some of the KPIs that even the management at management they look at to be able to make some decision. Revenue per kilometer, revenue per bus. Each bus, a particular bus, how much is it making for you at the end of the day? So you're able to look at all of these things. Then the trip per bus as well. So what's the average trip a bus does on a particular service route per day? From, let's say, Lekki to Ajah per day, you have deployed 10 buses. How much did they make? What's the distance traveled? So you are now able to look at per bus, what's the revenue per bus? How many trips a bus able to do? How many passengers is the bus able to carry per day? What's the kilometer per trip? And all of those metrics that were discussed earlier. Then looking at the fuel consumption now, okay, the liters of fuel that was purchased, the cost per liter, the number of buses that you fuel. From there you can get the revenue, the total cost. That's the product. That's the product. That's the product of the liters and the cost per liter. So it gives you the total cost that you are able to that you have actually spent on that fueling for that particular day. So at the end of the month, you can get the total, you can get the average per average liters consumed per day, average liters, average cost, average number of buses that you fuel per day, the total cost of data you spend in a month. This is the month split, the total cost of either diesel or petrol that you spend, how many buses you fuel that month. So these are some of the KPIs that are applicable and useful. So I said these all service routes. So there's a formula that you can link all your service routes together. Just link them so that as you are entering individual service route, this one looks like the consolidated sheets. That's why I call it all service route, the combined sheets where all the information will come into. So it's so direct. So we look at simple dashboard. So this one of the project I did that should be like 2 months ago on airline. And some of those KPIs were actually deployed there. So this airline, it's based in US and it has over 5.8 million subscribers. So that's the total number. So we want to look at the average delay. So those data have been given. So 5.8 million subscribers. We want to look at average departure delay, how many flights were cancelled in all, what is the delay time, how many airlines we have. So we have 14 airlines for that particular project, 14 airlines. We have 89,884 cancelled flights. So the average departure delay was about 9.23. Then average the percentage now is so in all of the flights, about 35.7% of the flights were delayed. Out of these 5.8 number of total flights, so about 35.7 of them were delayed. So from there, we're able to look at the total monthly flights. So from January to December is a 12-month calendar. So now the data has been done in a categorical order from highest to lowest. So for July, we had about 520,000 down like that till around February happened to have the least, about 429,000. So we're also able to look at the total flight by weekdays. So we want to look at now Monday to Sunday, the individual flight. So you see Saturday having the least, so meaning that on Saturday most flights, airlines do not actually move, just a few of them. So you can see Thursdays, Mondays till Friday, Wednesdays, Tuesdays having some major flights. So now you're able to look at the percentage of airline delay. You know, we talk about the delay KPI there, month on month. You can see month on month, the delays month on month. So which month are the highest delay? Which month are the least delay? Then the flight departure by airline. So you can look at the percentage of flight departure by airline. This time around now, all the 14th airline. So you can look at their departure by airline. So how many of them. So you can see the ones with the high bars and the one with low bars. They will also look at the total departure delay from. So we pick a particular airline and origin, which Boston. So we want to look at the number of departure delay from Boston. So month on month, you can also see it here. You can see there's 69, 44, right? So this was a project which so there were reasons for cancellation. So some flights were cancelled. We said about 89,894 flights were cancelled. So there were different reasons. We have weather based. We have those cancelled due to national air system. Those cancelled to holiday, national holiday. Those cancelled due to security. So these were the four major reasons for cancellation in the data. So you can see it using this pie chart. So I use line chart in the monthly flights, month on month, week on week. Then the year system delay by month. So there's another year system. So out of this, so we have the year system, then the monthly year system delays by month. Then this map, so the geographical representation. So it might not be showing it well here. It is on the Power BI now and it's being expanded. We can see it more on the focus level. So to see the location of all the airlines and where the ports are located. So we can see it on this map. So this is a map showing it. So you can see this dashboard now. This once it's presented, you can send it to the necessary person. They can begin to look at it. Then if there are places where, especially where we have all this departure delay, all this flight delay, and all of those things, they can begin to look at, oh, the 27%, okay, might still be small, but it can be reduced compared to where we have about 69% here, which is high. So this can be worked on. So these are some of the inefficiencies that can be worked on so that there is better performance by the airline. All right, as we move on, this is a transportation KPI dashboard showing revenue. So this is total revenue. So this is one of the online courses I did. So it was not built by me. So it's a sample from the course outline that was put out for us to see. So I didn't do this, but the previous one was done by me. So I just picked it out. So now we can see this is total revenue generated. You can come out a simple dashboard like this as a transition. Fine, every transition has to make revenue. So you can look at the total revenue generated. So you want to compare with the previous month to say, oh, it's 11% higher than previous month. Good. It's 822. $152. Then the cost 254.867. The profit, the shipment, the average delivery time. You can see that all of these KPIs were discussed earlier on this dashboard. So from the fleet status, as a fleet person, you are in charge of fleet. You want to look at your fleet efficiency. You see, oh, 95%. Okay, not bad. You can also look at, well, let me see how I can work towards ensuring that 97% of my fleet or 98 is available per time. So this is total fleet, 63 on the move that operate currently being operational 60, but with maintenance 3. So then average loading time. You can look at average loading time. You see from this data is saying 24. Average loading weight 11 ton. Delivery status. You can see delivery by country. Oh, we have Switzerland 21%. You have Germany 35%. Austria 25%. France 19%. So within time limit 503, out of time limit 73. You can see that we discussed all of these KPIs in the previous presentation. So I'm just showing us a simple dashboard that speaks to all of this that we can also generate on our own to better enhance our data analysis. Then we want to look at average delivery time and the route in kilometer. So the tick one is the route, which is the bar, and the line graph is the time. So the average time month on month from January to December, can see it there, the route kilometer, that's the kilometer per hour. You can see that was travel. There's another one, logistic dashboard showing fleet delivery status. So this fleet delivery, so this is like a gauge to say, oh, 95% fleet availability, great. Delivery status, it's 7% within the time limited. Okay, delivery by destination. So you have 4 countries, 35% country 1, 25% country 2, 21% country 3, 90% country 4. So within limit 550 out of limits, and so you can begin to look at all of these things and begin to make your own insights from them. So these are under fleet transportation delivery. This one is 94%. So you're able to look at, oh, total fleet is this, total available operational is this. So you present it, what you bring to your dashboard is able to do all of these calculations for you. You can also do it on Excel and present your dashboard in Excel and present it. So 88% are within time limit, 549 within out of time limit 70. So you are looking at all of this destination, delivery by destination in percentage. Okay, so there's inventory and logistic dashboard. So average delivery time in days. So there's a map here. So a map here is being used to show the location. Then you see 1 to 2 days. Used within they are in this location, 2 to 3 days, 3 to 4 days. You can see all of this blue, 4 to 5 days. The location, shipment by country. So we have 4 countries. So you can see the lines 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can begin to look at it per month and see the line graph showing shipment by country. Then looking at the cost, transportation related cost. The average transportation cost for this one is $273,053. So you can begin to see distribution of transportation related cost, admin costs, ordering process costs, inventory, and so many other costs that you can think of that is applicable to the data that you have. You can begin to bring them out with your analysis. Warehousing operation cost, receive center, shipping, storage, other, and so many other things that can be done with it. So this is another dashboard. So this is from one of the enterprise E&E course I did. So this dashboard is one of the sample dashboards in that course that was presented. So we can begin to see export and others and look at the total profits for that data, the total profits. So is it positive or negative? You can see in percentage, negative 7.3 total income, total expense. So you can begin to see some of these simple analysis as it apply income and expense. So you can see the income is the thin orange line, the expense is the thick one. So you can begin to look at it, the expense and income. So month on month, we want to look at the cumulative profits. So you can see in September, nothing, October, so you can see from November, as we start. So it's look at the value here in December, look at the value here in January 2021. So these are some of the simple KPIs. Total shipment, total volume, total weight. Then there's a map showing the origin and destination. Origin and destination. So if it was on a Power BI dashboard, we will have been able to see all of these locations very well. So month on month, from June 2020 to January 2021, we are looking at the total weight and shipment by month. So the bar chart is the total weight, the line is the shipment. So these are some of the simple KPIs from your data. Don't look at it that you need to get too much of data. From the simple ones you have, visualize it. Put your data storyline to it, present it, make insight from this with consistency. There will be more information to even put to it per time. All right, that will be all on our discussion of data analysis in the transport industry. Thank you for your time, and I trust that you had a productive section.